Hey everyone, welcome to the Sunday live streams. These will be the norm again. They were Sunday live streams for many years here. We've been doing it for like 10 years now. But I've decided again, I'm ready to go. Sundays, make it a habit. Set your calendar, set your watches, set your phones, cancel your plans. Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern. I will be here unless I got to travel or do something else. But I've got a while till that happens. So we will be here. Today we're talking about cycling your aquariums with plants. It's I feel like I need to cover it again because in my brain I cover something and that was 6 years ago, and people don't watch stuff that's old a lot of the time. And I continually see people cycling their aquariums. And if you don't know what that is, that normally is watching ammonia convert all the way into nitrates, which is one way to kind of set up an aquarium. In my opinion, that's very 40 years ago. So I believe that you can basically use live plants for cycling or seasoning or getting, and I don't even like the term cycling, but you can use live plants to support fish, basically. That's what I would say. Even where you're like, my fish eat plants, like, great. There are still systems you can do. You can put cages around the plants. You can put pothos growing up out of the top. There's things you can do. I've even done it with turtles that eat the plants. So it gets a little bit harder, but still nothing, in my opinion, none of that is as hard as watching a tank do nothing and testing the water every day, hoping you were doing something. So when we talk about cycling a tank, really what I'm talking about is setting up a planted aquarium that will thrive and then allow you to add animals to it and continue to thrive. There's no boom bust cycles, nothing like that, where oftentimes when we see the traditional methods with something like I still haven't even tested it because I'm so just kind of not against it. I just don't want to perpetuate it anymore, but like a fishless fuel, which is basically ammonia, right? You dump that in, you're testing every day, you're trying to watch it go through the cycle, and then eventually you have a number. You're like, hey, my tank can handle 3 drops of ammonia per day. How many clown loaches is that? Or rainbows, or guppies, or this, or that? And everyone goes, yeah, we have no idea. And it really doesn't matter because if you added 1 guppy but you feed 5 cubes of bloodworms, that's not the same as someone that adds 30 guppies and feeds 1 cube of bloodworms. So it's this big mystery box that really no one knows what's going on, especially when you're new and when you're, I would say, more established in the aquarium hobby. You just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do the things and it'll work. And that's where, I want to take you guys. I want to take you to, if you instead look at, instead of looking how fast can I get fish into this tank, if you start looking at how can I set up an ecosystem that will be fun for the next few years, and you're doing your research and you're doing all of that, that is a different journey than can I put fish. I ran into some fans at Petco yesterday, so shout out if you're that fan or that couple. And I was saying to them, it's all preferences at the end of the day. We all know we can technically keep fish alive in a bucket. You put an air stone in there, fish in a bucket, you can keep them alive forever. Now, after that, it becomes preference. Do you want to change water once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, depending on how big that fish is? Would you rather see it? I probably would. Would you rather have more than 1 fish? Yes, I probably would. And so all of these things, even though there's 400 million methods to set up an aquarium, it all comes down to preference. And what I try to do for you guys is distill it down into what do I think will work well for most people? Because there'll be a bunch of people go, nope, I like to do it this way. That's great. You can make your sandwiches however you want. I'm trying to tell you over here, we like our sandwiches with some chips on them. We like a little bit of mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise. Great, use butter. I don't care, right? So the method I would recommend to you is buying live plants, hopefully from us. But hey, get live plants, buy live plants, and plant them into your aquarium. Now, once you plant them, they're going to start dying back a little bit. You know what that does? Creates ammonia. You know what that does? Starts your cycle. Oh, great. Don't have to buy fishless fuel or something else. So you've got that going on. Then you want to start dosing. Do I even have these in here? I've only got in this weird little bottle, which you can't buy anymore. But dose fertilizers or root tabs or whatever your plants, which you can read about, need to grow. And your only goal at that point, that stage, is to grow plants. Once you can grow plants, even just a little bit, your tank is so much further along than a tank that can process some ammonia, right? And every day it'll learn to grow better. The plant will get a little more established. You'll learn a little bit more. And as that happens, so once you're finally growing, and that might take 10 days, or it might take you 26 days, or it might take you 1 day. Once you start getting that growth, you're going to start to see that other things grow. You might, I brought in a snail with that plant. Ooh, I've got bacteria. I've got a little bit of algae going. Everything is alive. Everything is growing. When you just put in ammonia, you're only making bacteria. That's all you're doing. That's not the same. That's not a seasoned tank. That's not well established, right? It's the difference between you're setting up a garden and you have a dump truck brought in of just some soil. That is not the same as a system that's been tilled and you've been amending it for years, and you've got plants and you've got cover so it doesn't get too hot, and you've got the watering system in. That's what we're talking about here. We're setting ourselves up with the bones of a system that will make it so we will thrive. So that when we put our fish into the tank at the beginning, and even though we can process ammonia, they might not be scared to death because they've actually got some cover. They can hide out in the plants. They can get a little bit of shade if they want. They can move around. They can enjoy it. So by growing the plants, and if you're, someone was saying they were helping someone new, what I would tell you is start the journey with, let's go plant shopping. Let's get you growing plants. And you call me, you email me, you let me know, you text me, you FaceTime me when your plants have gotten this much bigger. When 2 or 3 year plants have gotten this much bigger, you are then ready. Instead, you could teach them about when your thing says 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and has some nitrates, we're ready to add some fish. That's not very fun either for someone that's new. And the good news is, if you have a friend and you're helping them, you probably have plants. Your plants are growing. You can probably give them some, right? And when you buy plants or you get plants, they also come coated in bacteria. The plants themselves will be coated in bacteria. But if you buy a potted plant, all that rock wool and everything, that'll be coated in bacteria. I should back up 2 steps. Buying from a store, buying from us, getting from a friend, all of those will probably bring bacteria. But there are some online sellers that the plants don't go into water. So they're going to bring less bacteria for you. But I would stress that bacteria is not the biggest thing we're worried about at the beginning. There's a million articles about it. We think we are. But really, I would stress, let's get a system growing. I would much rather battle some algae at the beginning with no fish than battling it 3 months in after I have the fish. Because I've got more options on the table. I could use different chemicals. I could drain the tank. I could leave the light off. I could do anything I want with there's no animals in there. I'm not hurting them. So I'd rather fight all those algae then, if I'm going to fight them. But what I want to do is I want to teach someone how to keep. Oh, my collar's undone. I want to teach someone how to keep plants. If you can keep plants, might be a little too tight. If you can keep plants, then you'll be able to keep fish. And that's what we want. We want very healthy fish. We want to be healthy. And when you just teach someone how to manage water parameters, that doesn't mean they can manage plants. That doesn't mean they get the free evolving tank all the time, the protection of the fish, we focus so much on bacteria. Fish pee, and then we want to make sure it doesn't kill them. But what about what's in your tap water? What about the stuff that's on your hands? What about the stuff that just makes it into the aquarium because you're feeding? Plants scrub all of that out. So they're doing so much more than just helping the bacteria, just helping the waste in the tank. They are nature's filter. And by utilizing that, we are setting ourselves on a path that's very easy in comparison to the alternatives. And so I highly recommend start with plants, learn the fertilizers and the light, get some growth, then go get some fish, then start feeding those fish. and you will have success. I'm not sure that I've ever really seen someone not have success when they have a thriving planted tank. Have a thriving planted tank, then add fish. Now, you could be like, well, I have one plant and I added 7 Oscars and I fed them a 5-gallon bucket of food. No one actually does that, but that's how you'd get into that situation. When we are working with people in the store, we go, hey, let me see your tank. And, they pull up their phone, you get a visual representation of what am I sending this creature into. It's the equivalent of like a site visit when you're adopting a cat or a dog out. You go, what do you got going on here? And if you see a bunch of plants that look to be going forward, great. And I would much rather catch that, ooh, you buried your Anubias, you buried your Java fern, that plant's not doing so well before we put fish in there. Because so many people, what they will do is they will cycle their aquarium with ammonia. They'll go, great, I'm going to add some fish. While I'm getting fish, I'm going to put some plants in. And now you're feeding the fish, you're making ammonia. Some of the plants are converting and dying back. They're making ammonia. And now you're overwhelming your system, which your system at that point is just bacteria. And you can lead to sick fish. And then with the sick fish, now I got to put meds in there, right? Now you can have some of those problems with a planted tank too. You get the plants, let's say you get the plants that's really well established. Plants are growing, they're looking good. You got a little bit of algae over there. You got a couple of snails cleaning up after them. It's alive, right? You bring a couple of fish home. Well, you start feeding them. You're just making some ammonia. Well, the plants are eating some of that. They've already converted. They've already gotten happy. They're helping you. You don't have the other problem where now you just put plants in and they're dying back. You already made it through that process. So now they're just helping you. They're rooted in, they're looking, going, yep, feed me. I'm here to help. And then maybe your fish do get sick. Oh no, the fish are sick. And you got to use maybe some heavy antibiotics or you got to do something to them. Well, those antibiotics would kill the work that you just did with your ammonia. Oh, there goes all my bacteria. Not all the time, but it can put a hamper or damper on it. But at least the plants will still go, I got you. I'm your backup plan. I'm still going to handle some of that waste. Don't worry, use the meds. At least all the meds we sell, they're plant safe, right? And they don't really kill bacteria either. But there's thousands of meds out there. And when you're new, a lot of people don't know what to use. And, I spent $40,000 basically testing meds on fish in our stores over 7 years, basically, to find the ones that will work with plants, don't harm fish. Now, every medicine can harm fish, right? You can overdose on water technically, but in general, they help more than they hurt. And novices with meds can have success, and that's what I'm always shooting for. You might be the grouchiest guy in the room that's been keeping 700 aquariums for 242 years. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person that's been in there for a few years. Yeah, I've had sick fish a couple times. I've got 3 aquariums. I'm there to help you. If you've tested every med on the market, you don't need to be watching me. If you haven't tested everyone on the market, then I can save you a lot of time. And that's what we try to do here at Aquarium Co-op. And so while it is a giant sales pitch to buy aquarium plants, you can buy them from anywhere. You can get them from friends. You can get them from a swap. You can do any of that. But you will have better results with live plants than you will without them. I'm convinced of it. I would never set a friend up without it. I'd be real leery, even if I had cycled filters and go, here's a cycled filter for you. Because with the sick fish, you could still kill off bacteria. You could still do things. You could have a pH crash. You could have not enough oxygen. The plants will pretty much live through most of that. So that's why season tanks is, a term we have on here, season tank time. And I believe tanks take about 6 months from the last time you made changes to really, really start coming alive and doing what they're going to do. And so if you're still adding fish, you're still adding plants, and you're figuring out what fertilizer, and you change the light, and you don't know what water schedule you're doing, and the fish are still growing, and the plants are still growing, and you're changing foods, and you're doing all that, your clock hasn't even started yet, right? So realize that when you're getting results that you can't predict months in advance, you're not even into that season tank time yet. You're still learning. And it takes years, by the way. I learn every day still. I still learn something about the hobby every single day. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that I already know, but I go out of my way to go, hey, I wonder if there's a thing over here. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I learned yesterday They only released the glowfish angels in the pink color so far. Learned it. Cool. I also was asking the person working there, I'm like, ooh, do you know if they can breed yet? Like that, it's technically illegal to breed the glowfish. And I was like, yeah, angelfish are really easy to breed. So I wonder, are they treating with hormones, or have they done something to prevent that? Or are they just going to try to go after like every hobbyist on the planet? That seems impossible. And she says, yeah, I know. Everyone that sees them, the first batch that came in, you could sex them male and female, and everybody that's buying them is trying to do it. They're $30 glowfish, angelfish. And so everyone that's buying them, not everybody, but a lot of people are buying them trying to breed them. And I'm like, wow, that seems like a can of worms. I would not be surprised if they've done something to modify them so that they, males or females, one of the two will be sterile. So, but again, learned yesterday. And I was actually there to learn more. I wanted to, some of the Petcos around the country have finally gotten some of the AC series hang on back filters. I want to get my hands on it and actually do a good review for you guys, and not just report on stuff that I haven't put my hands on yet. So, suggestions for carpeting plants on low-tech planet tanks. Get yourself either dwarf chainsword or dwarf Sagittaria. That's what I would do on that one. Also, there's some questions that people asked in the Facebook group. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group and you're willing to tolerate Facebook, which I get it, I pretty much only hang out there for my own little page and my Facebook group and like one or two other businesses that I follow on the regular, and drown out everything else. But it's a great community over there. And so I post there when I go live, and I try to get, do you have any topics or, either pertinent or not? I'll try to work it in. And so we'll address that a little bit today as well. Let's see here. Excited to hit the 60-month mark. How's it been so long? Yeah. Can you imagine that, some of you guys, there's another one, Platinum Plopper is at 55 months. Candy's at 71 months. Can you, it's hard to believe it's been that long for you guys, but that didn't even come out till like 5 years into this YouTube journey. So it's really just baffling to be like, yeah, we did that 9 years ago. Are you kidding? How am I this gray? And it's been 9 years. So, do tissue culture plants cycle or season the same? Not the exact same. They won't come in with bacteria normally, but the ethos of plant them and grow them, if you can get them growing well, yes, we'll do the same job. I've got some tissue culture plants over there, some cryptnuri that are looking pretty cool. And yeah, they take a little bit, they come in real small, so they seemingly take a long time, but especially when you're new to the hobby, you're going, oh, small plant's not going to do a lot. But a lot of times you buy a crypt, the big leaves are going to melt back and it's going to come back anyway. You're getting the same product. It just looks different when you buy it, kind of. So, let's see here. I do have some shocking news, I would say. I waited till August when I was back just so that, I don't know, it just made sense in my mind because I wasn't live streaming, I guess. But we got bad news for the company. It's I want to call it a real big blow in that our manufacturer for lights is discontinuing manufacturing lights for aquariums. So all the work we put in and everything we've done is seemingly going to be lost. We're asking if we can at least get the CAD files and that kind of stuff. And do they have recommendations on other suppliers for us to interview? But at the moment, we learned this a couple weeks ago, and they said they're willing to do one more run, but even that they don't want to do. And they said it's 15% more if you want us to run it. We'll do one more. And so it would just extend a little bit when we'd run out. And so it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to pay more to do that. And so we have roughly 3,000 lights in our inventory, which in a normal sales cycle would last us till about the end of the year. Now, that being said, I don't know how many are sitting at all the stores, the 155 RPP stores. And I would imagine some of you will buy some sooner because we don't know when and if we can continue to sell them. So I would expect they probably won't last till the exact end of the year because some people will buy some. I know a lot of people have been saying, hey, I intend to buy one, and stock levels will go at different rates, right? So maybe we sell out of the 30-inch one and it'll just be gone. And we've got some extra ones at the retail store, so that's good too. But just know that I just want to get the word out there so people aren't shocked when we don't have them anymore. It's a huge bummer, honestly. I'm pretty disappointed because we just built the expansion with all the lights, all my lights in here, and I'm super proud of it. And I'm just like, wow, this is like we've had, the heaters we discontinued and the CO2 regulators. This was the product that I was like, this is I'm really proud of this. I'm really proud of our air pumps too, but the light really seemed like that was the most expensive one. We invested a lot of our money, time, energy, and lives into it. And to see it, like, we're gonna have to pivot. And so we don't know where to pivot yet. They're because they're just dropping it and focusing solely on hydroponic lights and stuff. Because we don't have more money for them, like they're not gonna make more money off us. They're not going out of their way to like help us either. So, we discussed, do we go back to China in, this year and try to find manufacturers? But even if we start that process right now, we're probably at least a year out, just because you got to go to the factories, you got to get prototypes made, even to spec, right? You can be like, make this light. That doesn't mean that it'll come out of their factory the same way. We'd also have to switch and get recertified for ETL ratings and all that stuff that our light's rating for, because switching a manufacturer would have to have all that recertification done. So yeah, it's a big blow to the company, at least to my morale. I'm just like, oh, that's a bummer to lose that. Yeah, someone asked, what about the warranty? The warranty will, if we don't have a replacement, we will just refund your money, is what we'll do. Yeah, I honestly don't. I asked Randy, who can pull the numbers much easier than I can, and our failure rate on lights is less than 0.5%. That includes ones that get lost in the mail, everything. Like, it's less than 0.5%, which is, that's his best. That's as good as you can ask for, honestly. That includes ones that had cracked glass, back when we first launched them and everything. That's every light we've ever sold, less than 0.5%. And the thing that's killing me the most is that they were working with us. So like their teams that we were working with, we had upgrades planned for the light. We were working on some kind of timer mechanism. We were working on a little bit better optics. We were working on these things. And so I think it's someone from the top down of that thing made a decision and it just cut the team off. And then the team's like, yeah, we're not doing it. Like, what? We literally have been working towards this point. So Flu Ball sabotaged us. Flu Ball's tripping. No, I don't know. It's a bummer, but yeah. Yeah. This is an issue with manufacturing. They do this all the time. It's the first time it's happened to us. For the most part, every company we worked with likes our money, and as long as they do a good job, we keep buying from them. This is the first one. And I do think also, because it took so much time, energy, and there's all the certifications and all of that, it hurts a lot more because to switch is much more painful than like this algae scrubber, right? To go to another melamine manufacturer, yeah, you're just doing product art again, getting a couple samples, and you're off to the races. You're not certifying it. It's not an electronic product. You're not submitting it. We were submitting it to our electrical engineers to have them take a peek under the hood before we, and the minimum order on these guys might be $7,000. The minimum order on lights is like $100,000. So you're gambling $7,000 if this go wrong, and there's no moving parts. Where if something goes wrong with the lights, it's like, oh, there's $100,000, and we know that. We know how that feels with heaters and CO2 systems. Those are hundreds of thousands, well, like $150,000+ just to recycling. So, yeah. The Generation 1 light is badass. Yeah, there's still moves, right? There's still like, we can go back to the other manufacturer. Could they make our current line? I really like that. Or do we go back? And it's just demoralizing. Like, I thought I would be moving on to newer products, and we had this one. Like, I like to make things better over time as opposed to back to the drawing board. So, yeah. Is hydroponics that much bigger than aquariums? I don't know. I don't know. My guess is they're less demanding. Like, hanging a light 4 feet above a plant tray doesn't have to be nearly as robust as something that's got an air stone spritzing water onto it all day. So, or maybe it's, maybe it's marijuana and that kind of stuff. Like, maybe there's this big money in the lights. Like, they make a lot of lights, and they make some, our lights are really nice. They make some systems that are mind-blowing, but they're also like, oh, that's a $22,000 system. Like, they're not messing around on some of these things. They can be real advanced. And like, oh, that one's $800 and that kind of stuff. So, where our hobby in general, it's like, well, how do we make it cheaper and more reliable and all of that? And there's some hobbies where they're just not as price conscious. So, or business, I guess, not necessarily. Yeah. I tried to tell you about depending on manufacturing in China. We dealt with it for years in our industry. Sure. Yeah. You got 1,000 people all going, yeah, don't do that. And then, it's been working, and it had worked, and it's worked, if we had said that with our sponge filter manufacturer, right? Like, oh, don't do that. Like, we'd have inferior sponge filters, and it's been going fine, and we sold hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. I honestly believe it is what it is. It's not like, there's nothing we can really do. So, let's see here. Oh yeah, the Facebook questions I wanted to answer. Did I lose them? Am I bad at my job? I'm probably bad at my job. Let me find it. Wrong one. That was a different question I had answered. Here we go. Richard Gill says, all my local fish stores seem to be less about fish and more about products. I find it very hard to find decent stock without going to an online retailer. I assume this is primarily because of the profit margin on fish. But wouldn't you think the basic platies, mollies, cories, etc. should always be heavily stocked? So let me unpack that. A couple directions I want to go here. In general, fish should be pretty darn profitable for a store. Or can be. So I wouldn't say that they're not doing it because it's not profitable. And it could be not profitable. And what I mean by that is, if you have someone who knows how to keep fish alive, right? They're just good with fish. They know how to medicate them. They're doing things to shorten transit times. They're keeping up on tanks and all that. It should not be that difficult to bring in a fish and sell a fish at a profit. Right? Now, with an electronic, let's use a light example. Maybe you've got a $200 light sitting there that you paid $160 for from the manufacturer or the distributor, whatever. And when it sells, you can make $40. But on $200 worth of fish, maybe you only paid $30 for those $200 worth of fish. And you guys are all going, it's a racket. I'm never paying price for fish again. However, the price and the profit of a fish, there's all the variables. So there's, how big did it come in? Do you have to grow it out for a while? Did it come in sick? Do you have to treat it? How many did you order? Are they ever going to sell? Every day they got to eat. Could they get too old, right? So if I bought 4 million guppies and I only sell 200,000 guppies a year, well, in 3 years, all my guppies will have died of old age that are left. I would have lost millions of dollars. Because guppies are usually over $1 at least. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. And the better you get at that, the more money you will make. So if you're a wizard with meds, if you're a wizard with memorizing prices and knowing where to buy, because a Cardinal Tetra from from the Czech Republic, and one from the wild, and one from Florida, and one from this European country. They're all different. They'll be different size, different prices, different shipping, different diseases, different water structures. And so the more you can kind of keep lining those dominoes up, the more potential upside you have. Now I'm going to use an exact example because I've been working with the manager and the assistant manager at the retail store. And I was looking at pricing and I'm like, our prices are just too high. We're going to lower them. And they're like, okay. And I had to explain we're buying from the wrong places at the moment. And so this example I'm going to use is roseline sharks. When I originally kind of focus back in, I go, whoa, we're selling for $15 each? Like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. For a price check, by the way, if you order them from, I looked at Petco, they're selling them for $20 each. And I said, okay, so vendor A that we can buy from, we can buy them for $5.75. So that is our buy price. Now, that doesn't include shipping, right? That's just listed there on the sheet, $5.75. And we were selling for $15. We got to buy it. We got to medicate it, quarantine, medicate. We got to pay the shipping. We got to get it out there. We got to feed it. And then we got to sell it, right? And that's a standard kind of, every store should basically be able to about triple their money when it comes to fish, because you got to pay for overhead. You got to pay for the water change. You got to pay for the food. You got to pay for the staff, all that. You can also have deaths. Like if you ordered 10 of them, maybe you only got 9 that lived, right? So that was vendor A was $5.75. Vendor B was $1.99. Like, wow, that's almost 1/3 of the price, right? Now, vendor A, we order it and it arrives like 3 days later, right to our door, no problem. Vendor B, we have to order it at least a week in advance. Oh, and vendor A, we can order one at a time if we want, any number. Vendor B, we have to order 100 at a time at $2 each. They have to be flown in at the airport and we have to pick them up. So they also have more shipping. Vendor C had them on special the same week. All these prices are from the exact same week. I actually made a video about this for my employees. Vendor C had them for 49 cents. But they also had to land in an airport and we had to pick them up. So when you're pricing a fish and you've got, like, how am I going to make money? So you've got, okay, they're $15. You bring them at 50 cents, you're making a lot of money, right? You bring them at $5.75, not nearly as much money, right? So what we actually did is we actually ordered them at the $2 price, and we ordered from the other vendor at the 49-cent price, and we lowered the price. Let me make sure the price is correct, because if you guys all storm the store in like 10 days when they're out of quarantine, I want to make sure I quoted you the right price. I know what it is within $1. I just want to make sure. Oh, I'm looking at orders, not our products. Yeah, okay, I was right. We will be selling them at $5.99. So we went from $14.99 down to $5.99 because we have changed vendors. Now, why don't all stores do that? Well, they might not be able to sell. Like we're bringing in 300 roseline sharks between the two companies. Maybe their store, that would be 5 years worth of sales. They can never do that, right? Or maybe these farms, which I know because I've ordered from them before, maybe their water is way different than the water they're going to land in, and they don't do so well, right? You also have to have an international airport. Seattle does. But maybe you live in Kentucky, and I don't think Kentucky has one. So you have to actually I got to go pick these up 7 hours away. So that might eliminate that from them, right? And that's where wholesalers really come in. They do that 7-hour trip, and then they mark them up, right? So you take a $2 fish with maybe it's 50 cents in shipping, and then you got to keep it alive, and then you sell that for $5 or $5.75 to the customer, right? So by eliminating steps in the chain, you can save a lot of money. Now, really all that does, in my opinion, is change the price that you sell to the consumer. Now, in my opinion, are roseline sharks worth $15? Yep, they are, because they're an amazing fish. Are they even better at $6? Yep, they are. Are they worth $20? Yep. Do I remember a time before they were captive bred where they'd be $30 to $50 each? I do. And we bought them, and they were awesome. So really, all it's doing, should a store not sell fish? No, I think they should be leaning into that really hard. Because when you look into an electronic product, there's not as much margin there. Yeah, you don't have to feed it, you don't have to clean it, you don't have to know about it really. It just sits there. But that leads into my next thing is I think that is what's killing retail right now. If any of you have been to like a Best Buy, if you've been to one with like the last 6 months, you walk in, you're like, what is this? You sell air fryers, $9 candy bars, $6, not $6, but like $3 sodas. You have cell phones, I guess, some cell phone accessories, but never the one I would actually need. And you're like, oh, this USB cable, $22. I can order online for $6. And then you're like, okay, you sell washers and dryers, I guess, and some fridges. Like, I always, I'm trying to think why I end up there. Usually it's to buy, like, they'll have price matched like a gaming mouse or headset. And I'm always just like, who would ever actually step foot in here and need something at these prices? Same thing in an Office Depot and that kind of stuff. Like, we're just in a world where when it comes to the point where you can buy 4 of the item online for the price of 1 in store, you just buy 4 USB cables and you never step foot in a Best Buy again, right? The only time I go there when I'm traveling, of like, oh no, this cord stopped working, stop by a Best Buy, I got to pay $1 billion for a cord because it's a pain in the butt to ship it to the hotel and I need it today, right? And so when you're a retail store, yes, you should sell dry goods, but I really think that they need to be priced competitively, and you make your money off of things that people can't wait for, fish they can't wait for, or things that they want to pick out. I want that plant. I want that fish. Or you offer crazy experience of like, I need a heater. You have 6 different types. Which one is most applicable for my setup? But a lot of places are setting themselves up. I would say a lot of the chain stores too, where it's like, there's just products and we hope people will buy them. And we're not educating. We're not the best priced. We're not. Half the time they don't even have them in stock. That really kills me. It's like, how can you afford to be out of a product? Like at roseline sharks at $15, we should never run out of them because you're making so much money. Now at $6, you're not making nearly as much money. And so, yeah, you can be out of them. But it's crazy that, stores are not leaning into the thing that's going to keep them in business. And I don't know. I'm not saying I know how to fix retail, but I will say, while I was on vacation, we just got back from Maui and we went to the movies a couple times. And by golly, if you've been watching my live streams, they are turning it around. They're starting to figure it out. It's not going to collapse. So why do we go to the movies? We watch nostalgic movies. This trip, we went and saw The Never-Ending Story. And we went and saw Indiana Jones, The Lost Ark. Right? So nostalgic movies. They're like $10 or something to get in each. And the part that always drove me nuts was, the $400 popcorn and the soda that you have to take out a loan for. Oh, and you wanted candy? You better just trade your car in, right? They're starting to figure it out though. And I think they're testing it and I'm hoping it works out well. Regal, where we went, you can, for like $25, you can buy a refillable popcorn container and a refillable soda container. And you can get one refill every time you go to the movies. That makes perfect sense. One, it's better for the environment. Two, you're taking the rub away from going to the movies of like, yeah, I want to see it, but either I got to sneak in a drink and some candy or some chips or something, or it's going to cost me $60 to go. And I think by taking that part away of like, hey, I could see that movie for $12. I'll grab some popcorn and some soda. It's a great time. You're way more likely to buy that $6 candy bar because you're like, yeah, under $20, had a great time. And you're going to get more people to go. You're going to sell more tickets. And so I think they're actually starting to figure it out, which is awesome. And I don't know what the version of that is for Best Buy, but, usually companies will try to fix themselves before they go out. So good. I'm glad to see it. It definitely was like, we didn't buy it because we didn't want to like try to fly back with a popcorn container and a thing. So we might go to more movies now in the United States just because it's a better experience. So, all right. Other than produce / live goods, what brick and mortar stores do you think will always thrive? You vote hardware stores? Yeah, I think there will always be some hardware stores, but too often. So here's the problem I have with like Home Depot and Lowe's. If I need an ABS elbow, right? Or no, here's the best thing. Anyone that's done any plumbing in the last year in 2-inch, you know this. An ABS cap, so a 2-inch cap you put on the end of a pipe, is between $8 and $10. It's a total money gouge. Now, if you hop online, you're like, oh, I can buy them for 80 cents. And there's so many plumbing parts in these things that when I do buy them online, because I need lots of them. So when we built the expansion, I needed 300 2-inch tees. I can go pay $8 a piece, or I order them for under $3 a piece. It just makes sense, right? And you would think that the plumbing supply stores are better. They're not. Like my uncle's a plumber, and unfortunately he gets in that trap. He's like, I get 62% off. And I go, oh yeah? How much are they? And he goes, they're $7.12. And I'm like, you can literally just buy them like on Amazon for $3. What are you doing? But it's convenient to show up at the thing and go, yeah, I need that water heater. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this backflow pressure assembly thing. And that's where stores make their money, is by sourcing. So instead of just buying Roseline Sharks at $5.75, I got to order from here on Roseline Sharks. I got to order from there next week on Tetras. I got to order from there next week on this type of fish. I got to place a saltwater order from there. If you just go to the one shop, you're going to pay premium prices because businesses in general, they can't be the lowest price on everything. If they are, they just go out of business. So instead, they'll have things that they're low on and things that they're high on, but that makes an average. So if we have cheap Roseline Sharks at $6, we might be more expensive on, I know we're more expensive on bettas. Our cheapest betta's $19.99. If you want cheap bettas, go to Petco, go to PetSmart. You want real healthy bettas with a big selection, come to us. We're going to charge you $20 though, because we're hand picking a lot of them. We got a lot of selection. They're real finicky. 50 bettas, feeding 50 tanks, 50 water changes, 50 little tanks of scrub, way more than 50 tetras in a tank that you feed one tank, right? So that's something to consider. What would I consider the perfect tank setup for wild bettas in a 20-gallon or a pair of Ivanacara bimaculata? I like dwarf aquarium lilies, so they put a bunch of lilies on the top and shade a bunch, and then I put a bunch of crypts down below, and then I get like a piece of wood so that the bettas, the wild bettas, can kind of sidle up to that wood and kind of check you out with their big eyes, and it's dim. That's what I like to do. Big stores are for the need it now crowd, not the plan ahead people. Yep. And I 100% agree. And I wish they could at least serve that purpose. Do you know how many times Dean and I go to the store because we need it now and then they don't have it? All the time. Every single time. I have to go to multiple stores and I have to pray I can find what I need. It's gotten that bad. And it's not COVID. We're way far away from COVID times. We're supply issues. It's just, I think we're in a zone right now where big retail's not making good money. They're understaffing. They're cutting corners. They're going, yep, we sell 3 of those doohickeys a month. We will stock 2 and we'll put them out on the floor. We'll update it every week. And except, here's what happens. They have 2, 1 gets stolen, they sell 1, they reorder 1 because inventory tells them they have 1, and then you get there and you're like, yeah, your website says you have them. Where are they? And the guy will literally go, yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah, our inventory's not even close to correct. You're like, I wouldn't have driven here. It says you have 27. Yeah, 27. You need 27 2-inch elbows? Yeah, we don't have those. Okay, is there another store that have them? Let me look. Yeah, we can have them. And they'll do that. They'll be like, we can have them for you here in 6 days. You want to pay $8 a piece in 6 days? Or I could order them online and have them in 2 days for $3. Nope. So it's a bummer that even the crowd where, yeah, I need it now, I can't even get it half the time. More than half the time, I would say. Big box stores charge $20 for bettas. Is that true? Back in my day, they used to charge like $5. Maybe I led the charge with the expensive bettas thing. Maybe they finally realize they're losing money on bettas. When you sell them at $4, like there's, I don't understand. You're like, oh, you paid $2 and some for that fish. And, well, I know how it works. They pay $2 and they never fed it or cleaned it, and then they hope to get $4 for they killed it. Where we actually want it to live, so it's like, well, by the time you clean it and you feed it, and you have to have a selection, it lives there for a month and a half. Like you're losing money at $4. Yeah. Let's see here. The measure of product success is how many trips you made to the hardware store. Yeah. Parts and materials are one of the few things I can think of that I actually need to see, touch, and buy immediately. So I'm fairly good at being what I call a project manager in buying as many of the parts as you can foresee needing. So Dean and I typically are very efficient when we work together because I've spent all the time ordering the bits and the bobs and the things. But then there'll be, you're right, we forgot about, we need to do it that weird way. And so then you go and you look for just, you're like, yeah, I really need a 3/4 threaded to 2-inch adapter. And Home Depot just laughs of like, oh, you think we would have something that isn't just the most basic stuff? You think in this giant building made to do this, we would have that? Oh no. But we do have a nice new display of Milwaukee heated hoodies and gloves and other things. And we keep putting in more products that we have to put behind chains and locks so that you have to be escorted. Like that, I swear that is the walk of shame for me. Like, I think the last time I did that, I bought a Honda. Was it Honda? Yeah, I think I bought a Honda generator because we needed it because there was a big storm coming. I didn't have enough for this building and warehouse and the retail store. And it's like, I got someone, I'm like, hey, you got to unlock it. And they're like, oh, I can unlock it, but I'm not authorized to walk it up to the front with you. And I was like, what? I can walk it up. I got the flat cart. And they're like, no, we have to walk it up there. And I was like, okay. So we put it on the cart. We walk down the aisle. I then get in line and they peace out. And I was like, so it's 26 steps you gotta do. You realize if I'm a thief, I just keep going, right? Like you're trying to prevent that. Like it's such a crazy system. Yeah. Like if you've been to a Rite Aid or something lately where it's like, oh, I'd like to buy a fun size Snickers. It's like you got to pass a background check. They've got, there are stores now where everything is just behind lock and key. And I walk in, I'm instantly like, nope. Not doing it. It's not doing it. I'm not going to track someone down so that I can buy some deodorant. I'm just not doing it. I will literally just buy it online. I don't like to buy it online, but I now buy my deodorant online because I refused to chase someone down to get my deodorant. I remember the last time I did it. I was having a lot of phlegm problems. I went to the allergist and they tested me for like a bunch of stuff, and I'm not allergic to anything, darn it. And I say darn it because we didn't figure it out. But they're like, hey, you need to go get this nose rinse. And I kid you not, I had to get someone to unlock so I could get saline nose spray. It took like 30 minutes because there's only ever 1.5 employees in a Rite Aid ever. And they were already helping another person, so they had to be doing all the ring up. Then they'd have to run out and like unlock someone because they wanted like a $4 thing of ladies razors. Then they got to run back and ring that up, and then they got to run back and get me a $6 thing of nose spray. And then they wonder how they're not like, oh man, yeah, sales are going down. Weird. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. I'm a designer, so I actually drafted and wrote out full parts lists and budget for building my fish room. Still have leftover parts. Yeah. No, I used to do that when I built a store and I built my fish rooms. I would get everything I needed. In fact, it's still on my to-do list. I've got a big part list to order for here. Because every time we go and we need a cap that's $8, if I can pre-buy it. In fact, I want to know how much that cap is. I got to know now because it's at Home Depot. A 2-inch ABS cap right now. Which I swear has to be, they had to have ordered like 1 billion of these things during COVID, and they're like not willing to take a loss on them. So legit, if you look it up on the website right here, right now, a 2-inch ABS cap on Home Depot, $10.84. That is the most absurd thing ever. Let me find like one of the websites I normally order from. Here we go. IBS Corporation will sell you a 2-inch ABS cap for 98 cents. Like that, that kind of gouging is what will kill retail. It's not, like I remember I've bought probably over 100 caps in my life at Home Depot. They were $3. And you go, $2.68. I need it. I'll take 4 of them, right? But you're not spending $45 on 4 caps anymore. You're just not doing it. You're going, I will wait. Yeah. It's the craziest stuff. I'm convinced it has to be leftover. Like they ordered 500,000 caps during COVID when they ran out because they run out of everything. And they paid a premium on shipping, and they paid a premium with the manufacturers. And then they're like, okay, we're in them for $4. We got to sell them for 11. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Home Depot does give a veterans discount. Yep, they do. Yeah, so I've got a big long parts list of just like, instead of like pipe, it used to be I could tell you guys to build a fish room and it's fairly cheap. Like, yeah, get 1-inch PVC pipe. It was like $2 for 10 feet. Let's look at Home Depot now. Which this is just old guy yelling at the clouds. How dare you? You're up there. Yeah, 1-inch PVC pipe. In the no, it's 24-inch and 10 feet. Yeah, so it used to be under $2 when I bought 10 or more. If you buy one, it's $8.48 for 10 feet or $6.78. So it's more than 3x the price. And that's one you can't really save by buying online. So you just have to like, oh my gosh. It used to be we only really yelled about 2x4s. But somehow I think 2x4s came back down. Let's see. They're probably down to like $3, my guess. A premium 2x4x8 is $3.25. Yeah, when those were $8. And I bet you PVC and stuff will come back down. Just they gotta sell through it all. So it's crazy town. Let's see. We could probably talk about fish again, I bet. But yeah, so and then someone said they also chimed in and said that selling fish isn't as profitable as doing it online, and I definitely disagree. And my logic was shipping fish into me, like I order the fish, they land, I get them healthy, and I sell them to you, and you drive them 15 minutes home. Pretty easy transaction, really. But selling them online, I do that same process. I ship them into me, I get them healthy, and now I've got to ship them 24 to 48 hours through the network that I can't control the conditions. There should never be a spot where, at scale, that is more profitable than selling at a retail store. Now you could say maybe the middle of nowhere doesn't need a fish retail store, and I could get with that. But there's a lot of places, not all these where I see them. I walk into them like, what are you doing here? You're not even set up to make money. Like, this is just not gonna work. Where's my store? My store is in Edmonds, Washington. Yeah, you can go to a Nerf toy shelf and get a big blaster with moving parts, and there's way more plastic than a 2-inch cap. Yeah, it's nutty. It is nutty. Is Aquariumcoop still selling the bulkhead fittings online? They used to be the best deal ever. We are still selling the bulkheads online, and they still are a good deal. Yes, we are. That's one where I'm like, I realize not a lot of people need bulkheads, but I'm shocked. And maybe I'm just not into it. I'm shocked that we're not the source. Like, oh, you're building a fish, you need bulkheads? Yeah, you buy them from Aquariumcoop because we got rad pricing on them. But I don't know. Let me type in 1-inch aquarium bulkhead. Maybe there's somebody else that's killing us. They're $9 on. Oh, maybe we're not doing that well. Let me look. Let's go size, 1-inch. Yeah. So $9 each on Amazon. We're $5.49. Lifeguard sells them for $10.66. Here's a 4-pack for $15.95. Okay. So I can't fault that. You could buy them on Amazon in a 4-pack as long as they're good quality, which they look to be okay. So maybe that's why we're not selling a billion of them. But in general, we had our own manufacturer when I couldn't buy them. And I'll say this. When we built the retail store, we needed bulkheads. We bought a few hundred 2-inch bulkheads, and over 30% of them were unusable. Like, the threads were so bad, our hands were cut up. We were trying, they didn't give us our money back. And yeah, where ours now, because we've been using them, and even the employees are like, these are smooth as butter. Like, yeah, they had manufacturer problems. How long are we in the stream? We just got here. 1 hour. We're into it for an hour. We're going 1 more hour. Every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, the old man yells at clouds. Don't stop making them. Almost to that point in my fish room. Yeah. Yep. There's cooler bulkhead design and stuff in China. We just don't sell enough. When I look at them, like, we sold 30 of them this month. Like, but there's some real cool tech that exists that hasn't made its way to America yet that I want to bring in, but the minimum order quantities with that company, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a 40-year supply for us. We would have to figure out something. So, what's my favorite taco? I am crunchy ground beef taco. Get some guac on there, some sour cream, some shredded cheese, a little bit of lettuce. I can go back and forth. The lettuce has got to be dialed in and on point, and it's a crapshoot. 50% of the time, lettuce is like, oh, this lettuce is not very good. I got the part I don't like. So in a perfect world, I just go, no lettuce. Especially if you're hitting a Taco Bell, no lettuce on that thing. If I want cardboard, I'll eat out of my recycle bin. Like, I swear they have to be like 3D printing that lettuce with cardboard or something. Like it is, I don't know how they hit that consistency and like taste and texture on lettuce, but I don't know. Ain't no lettuce I've ever seen, any real lettuce, taste and act that way. I mean, I realize it's actual lettuce, but whatever process they're doing, like, you know, we go out of our way, like, oh yeah, you put it in the lettuce crisper. Like they're putting it in the de-crisper. They've got some method to make lettuce worse. Like you're taking this thing that has no taste and no nutritional value, and you found a way to make it worse. That's impressive. Oh, I do love shredded pork tacos. Yeah, that's true. Do I have any outdoor tubs this year? No. There's still a chance at a Hail Mary trip. I'm trying to find the time. I want to drive to the Salt Lakes and catch brine shrimp and bring them back and then raise them up and breed them outside. Just because it'd be hilarious of like, these are my wild brine shrimp. I caught them myself. It's just, I think it's a crazy, funny thing to say, which is like the ultimate fish nerd thing. The average person's like, oh, cool. Like anyone in my family, I could tell them like, yeah, I went and caught stingrays. I'm like, oh, neat. Yeah, I went and got wild brine shrimp. Oh, neat. Right. But a super fish nerd to be like, wild brine shrimp. You're like, yeah, I actually went there and got them out of the wild. And they'd be like, bizarre and neat. Oh, my manager at the store's hit me up. What do we got? He sent me some kind of video. He's asking me if he should set aside these 2-inch elbows, and I said, oh, yes. Then he sent me a video. I'll watch the video after the live stream. Cryo freezing the lettuce. It's got to be something like that. There's got to be something. Maybe it's rehydrated like they do with onions. Maybe they found a way. This is my new favorite shirt. It kind of is. I wasn't fancy enough to know that my wife has informed me this is what they would call a crepe material. It's all like, I'm going to call it bumpy. It's super light. And I fell in love with this shirt where it was hot. And yeah, so rocking it. Any update on Easy Carbon? The update is the last we heard from was 4th of July, or the day after 4th of July, and they're still researching. So it's a government entity that needs to look at the validity of what Easy Carbon is and then make a determination. And that it seemingly looked like it'll affect the entire hobby at this point. It's not even just us. Like, oh, good. And we're not going out of our way to like beat them up and make them super angry and then just have them be like, well, fine, we'll ban it. So we're just waiting and going, well, hopefully it'll get around to it soon. We did a bunch of work on it. We had to like technically have to make labels. It has to be off the website. All this stuff. So we're just waiting. What do you recommend doing when you're burnt out and can't put much time or effort in the hobby? I feel like I don't have energy for it lately. Get rid of it. Start getting rid of it. That's what I recommend there. I know that super chat was a while ago, or member chat, or whichever one it was. It was member chat. I would get down to what is enjoyable. I find most people, maybe 6 tanks, not enjoyable. 1 tank, probably enjoyable. Get it down to what is actually enjoyable again. And it might be that you're not in love with those fish. It might be that you don't like that tank has algae. It might be that you don't like giving up a whole day on water changes. It might be you don't like the money you're spending. It might be, but as you scale all of that stuff down, eventually you go, ooh, I'm kind of having fun again. Like, ooh, yeah, ooh. Like I was laying on the couch in Maui going, yeah, I gotta find me some rare crypts. I really want to do some crypts. Really want to play with an underground filter. Oh yeah, I gotta plant the 800 gallon when I get home. That's gonna be fun. And because I was away from it, and I've slimmed down so much on the tanks, it's now more fun that I know. Like, yeah. So like my next day where I have some free time will actually be on Tuesday. I've got only 1 meeting scheduled, and I'm like, yeah, I've got the substrate. I want to swap the substrate in this bad boy. Like maybe Tuesday's the day for that, and then I can plant some more. Are extreme bottom wafers the best thing for corridors as far as a packaged food goes? Yes. I feed them in my fish room. I really like them. I will say I also like Hikari algae wafers a lot too, even though they are algae wafers, main ingredients meat. But I legit could walk over there. I have both of them in the fish room, and I feed them very often. I like both of them. I like the package on Extreme better, and I believe them the ingredients to be a little bit better. But I swear there's something magical about Hikari's algae wafer that I don't know. Like fish know to love them. I don't know what ingredient it is. It's some secret sauce that's hidden in there. I don't know, but boy howdy do fish go nuts for them. It's peculiar. Shout out to the OG Nerms that still have the white label Easy Green bottle in the jug. Oh yeah, this little bad boy. Woo! The original OG, the bottle's clear also. Like the very first ones I was getting. If you look way back on our Facebook page, you'll see them when they first launched. They look different for sure. Are we going to add any Aquariumcoop rubber bands for tying Anubias and Java Fern? Nope. We recommend super glue, but yeah, rubber bands, keeping rubber from getting brittle underwater is not the easiest thing. It hardens up or it gets brittle, one of the two. So Kirk, Candy's significant other, swears by Hikari wafers. Also, Elmer at the store loves the Hikari ones better too. Well, here at my house, he ate tons of the Extreme and he ate the other ones. But I swear there's something that passes the sniff test for fish in those things where they just instinctively know, like, I like that. Whereas like the other types of wafers and other foods in general, they're like, oh, I like this, but I don't even know how to explain it. But when I've been evaluating foods for years now, so I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of too much in my head. But the best way I can explain it to like my team is like it doesn't have the it factor. Like, what do you mean? Like, do they eat it? Like, yeah, they eat it. It's fine. Like, it's food. But all food's food. But it's I can tell when you're feeding like, but it's not. It doesn't have the. It doesn't make them go insane. It doesn't have that. Like, you can tell they're eating it, but they don't love it. And like, well, what ingredient do they love? I don't know, because I've literally made foods where I'm like, I think they like the krill. Crank krill to over 9,000. Like, nope, they don't care. Maybe it's a brine shrimp. Nope, they don't care. Maybe it's a garlic. Nope, they don't care. Like, I've literally singled it out and go, crank it up, crank it up, crank it up. And I haven't been able to find what that special magic is. And it probably is all in cooking, right? And I use this analogy a lot lately, but if you like something about a food, cranking it up to 11 doesn't necessarily make it better. It's when the cook cooks it right and you have all the right mix of the ingredients, the end product is exactly what you crave. And I think Hikari just has that with those wafers of like, on the label, like, the way I would explain like Hikari algae wafers is like, it's like a fried bologna sandwich. No one is going to go out of their way to be like, yeah, I love fried bologna sandwiches, which I do, by the way. I love them. They're going to be like, no, I like a nice steak from a designer restaurant. Like, that's what they're going to tell you. But the reality is, like, even though that fried bologna sandwich is worse in every way than a steak in terms of like flavor profile, how good it is for you, all that kind of stuff, it hits right. You're just like, oh, this thing's delicious. The steak's delicious too. But somehow a fried bologna sandwich at $4 is somehow just as good as a $200 steak. I don't know, right? And that's what I think is going on with those algae wafers. They've got some master recipe that like they were able to talk to fish and the fish were like, yep, this is the one. And now they are. Let's see here. I've been hatching baby brine shrimp every day for the past couple months because I've been raising rainbows. And I've been feeding all my fish brine shrimp twice a day. Is it bad to only feed baby brine shrimp? Yeah, a little bit. If you're only going to feed baby brine shrimp, you might want to start adding like some Zocon or what's the product that we sell? We sell Vitachem. But honestly, I would tell you, get another dry food in there. When I'm feeding fish, uh my routine that I like to do is I prefer frozen and live foods the most. Then I go dry foods at least twice a week because I want the vitamins that are in there. And I really just mix it up, but I really mostly frozen and live and then dry because I want to be able to eat dry because like I was on vacation, need someone to feed, all that kind of stuff. So this is not a Stanley Cup. This is a whatever's way less than that. This is a simple modern cup off of Amazon. I bought this because I wanted to drink more water, and I kept using like just a normal glass, and it would get water on everything, like all my wood desks and my wood side tables and everything. And this thing, it'll keep water cold for like a week. I don't know if you guys have seen the You Betcha channel, but when he talks about the Yeti, that's how I assume that I look with this thing. Because I'm always like, I'll wake up like, oh, it still has ice in it. And so I torment my wife literally every day with like, you hear that? Ice has been in there for a week, even though I refill it with ice like every 18 hours. The fun is actually in the tormenting of my wife and not even of the drinking of the water. Maybe they add MSG to Hikari's food. I hope so. Honestly, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be like, finally, now I know the ingredient. Let's add that to all foods. Several Hikari foods are just excellent. Yes, I agree. I agree that, and I think every company is this way, myself included, that you're probably going to have these standout pillar products, and then you're going to have the Me Too's. I really like the Hikari guppy food. I really like the algae wafers. I think if you have bigger cichlid-ish type fish, I think Hikari Extreme, or not Extreme. Yeah, Hikari Extreme. Yeah, that's a green pellet. Yeah, it's now I gotta make sure because now like my brain is like, no, Extreme's another brand, but Hikari Extreme. No, that's Extreme Seaweed. What do they call it? They call it is it Hikari Excel? Where is it? Where is it? I can't find the green package. Can't find it anywhere. Come on, help. Cichlid or Sinking Cichlid Excel. Yeah, they have Seaweed Extreme, but the Cichlid Excel I think is another good product. I like the profile of their Massivore pellets. I hate how they're $4 billion now, and when I feed them, my whole room smells terrible. So I don't like that. They need a bulk size Hikari Fancy Guppy. They do. Starts at $100. You can get a 2.2 pound bag. Way more than anyone needs. I do think that's a problem with them is they want to make all their money this many packs at a time. And if they made I don't have any food things here, but if they made one that was like this, that was affordable, they'd sell a lot more. I'd be more likely to use it. I picked up an egg tumbler, started breeding pandas, and a big bag of brine shrimp salt. Yep, I'm going to do some more videos on that. I'm really enjoying, I dosed brine shrimp salt to all my, well, not all my tanks, but all my Planet tanks got brine shrimp salt yesterday. 1 teaspoon per 10 gallons. And yeah, I've got my, in that, which I'm pointing to all the tanks you can't see. Great content. But my tiger lotuses are looking awesome with my balloon mollies. That's right. Haters gonna hate. I got balloon mollies. And then my dwarf aquarium lily and my red flame sword popping off while I was in Maui. So starting to plant up, I'm waiting on fish. I imported some fish like this. I'm hoping to show you on camera, but once I go through quarantine, I'm going to fix this algae on this bulbitis. This is like the country's national debt worth of bulbitis right there. But we're going to clean that up with some rosy barbs. They will do the trick just fine, I think. And around the world, more rosy barbs to sell because they're like, wow, they're actually great algae eaters. Yes, they are. Let's see here. I began to scale down my tanks. I don't believe I'll ever fully get out. I have several no filter setups with shrimp and snails. One of those would be enough if that's all I could have. Yeah. I still, the no filter setup, I still recommend air, but I find as I scale back, I don't want to spend any less time on my aquariums. I find, and it took me years to figure this out, by the way, and I'm still learning. I find that I pretty much want to spend a few hours on my tanks every week. I like getting my hands in there, I like tweaking, I like learning. The problem is, if you have 30 tanks and you can spend 3 hours, every time I come in here, I'm just like, oh, it looks terrible. I'm just behind on everything, and I don't enjoy it. If you can spend 3 hours on 3 tanks every week, you're going, I got 3 amazing tanks. I love this. You spent the same exact amount of time, but somehow one of them you hate and one of them you enjoy. And so I think what I found for me is as I pare back, I'm spending the same amount of time, but the results are getting better each time. So, it's, if I go cooking again, if I get to spend 3 hours cooking, which I'm the worst cook ever and I don't cook, but you got 3 hours to cook, the odds of me making a good meal are way better if I'm cooking for my wife and I than if I have to cook for 200 people. Because then you're just like, I'm just chopping potatoes. Like, I'm going to spend 40 minutes just chopping potatoes, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. And not nearly as much time to like actually work on making it better. You're just trying to put out throughput. So as you decommission a tank and you decommission another tank, you might find yourself like, ooh, this is actually great. And start with the ones that you like the least. Like, oh, that takes a lot of time, and I don't like the fish in there. It's covered in algae. Like, just get rid of it. Boom. Magically, you'll be like, huh, it's looking pretty good in here. I like my tanks. How do you know if my crinum isn't doing well? Turns yellow and the tuber gets mushy. But really, just stick it there and let it just do its thing. By the way, if you don't know, they've been selling like hotcakes because you guys like a deal. You like a deal. We have brought mystery plant packs to the website. That's right. You can get 6 live aquarium plants in a mystery pack for $39.99. They'll be labeled. They'll be healthy. They'll be potted. They're not going to be these little spindly little bunch plants that are ready to die. They'll come with the liner to help protect you from the heat. They will even come with a heat pack if you need one during the winter. And you save money. Except the plants are random. Yeah. They're all low to medium light, so you don't have to have CO2. You don't have to do anything crazy extra for them. And people have asked. I hadn't anticipated that. But when you place your order is when it picks the plants. So if you place an order right now, it picks the plants based on what we have in stock. Now, not every plant is in that randomness. Tissue cultures aren't in, for instance. Like dwarf baby tears isn't in there, for instance, or Monte Carlo. But lots of the plants are. Other ones that aren't in there, moss ball's not in. Banana plant's not in. But I think it's like 25 of the plants are in. You save some money. And I think it's 2 things. People like saving money, and they love taking out, like, yeah, I want to stuff in your tank. Like, what do I want to do? You know what? Boop. I'll take the 6-pack. We'll see what I get. We'll see what it looks like. And yeah, they've been selling like hotcakes. And I knew they sold like hotcakes because we used to do it when we first opened the store and we were much smaller. And we would just handpick the plants. But we had the problem of everyone would be like, yeah, so you sent 6 plants. I have no idea what they are. And we'd be like, can you take a picture? And then it'd be kind of hard to like, ooh, is that baby tears or is that pearlweed? But so now they're all labeled. You'll get confirmation email. You know what they are, so you can start researching them ahead of time before they arrive. So you get that email and you go, okay, here's what's coming. All right, let me read on their website about what they need. Okay, yeah, I've got Easy Green. Ooh, I should get root tabs. Maybe I should order some of those. Or I'm going to put this one in this tank or whatever. Yeah. Any good ideas how to feed plecos the right amount of food? Tip number 1, feed them after you turn the light out. Tip number 2, feed them with a food that can last 24 hours. What does that mean? Cucumber, zucchini. Actually, I don't like cucumber. Zucchini and rapashi food. It makes it real easy. If you really want to pack on the weight or do right by your plecos, that's what I'd be doing. Green beans also a great one too. What's the brightest green plant sold on Aquariumcoop? I want to brighten up my tank. Probably the one we're sold out of. I really like the watermelon plant, Lidernia rotundifolia. Are we sold out? We're sold out. When that one comes in, buy it. It's awesome. Little watermelons. And Candy brought up, yes, we cannot and will not switch the plants. We have it in bold, and you would think 6 plants at random, people would be like, I'm going to get random plants. But there's still the 5% of the public out there that's like, yeah, I ordered the 6-pack. I would like the 6-pack to be these 6 plants, not at random at all. And you're like, then just buy those plants. Oh, no. You can swap them for me. I want the discount and that. Like, that's not how it works. Cancel my order. Like, fine, go somewhere else. Like, it's 6 plants at random. We'll pick out good plants. Don't worry. Like, it's our reputation's still on the line, but it's not a buy them at an extra discount and then harass our customer service to swap them and swap them and swap them and teach you about them and swap them and swap them. So you get 6, they'll be healthy plants. You'll love them. If they're not healthy, you let us know. We'll get you more or we'll refund you. We'll never leave you hanging. Don't worry. And the plecos that don't eat green food, yeah, use rapashi. Use like bottom scratcher. Made to do that. Bottom scratcher it up. 24 hours of feeding. It's a grazing animal. Wants to graze. Wants to eat when the lights are out. When you have plecos that are actively eating in bright light, that's usually That's usually a sign of how hungry they actually are. I just got here, was cleaning. Dawn and Sharon, I'm going to need to see that hall pass. Best food for Panda Lab. What is a Panda Lab? Like Labdachroma ceruleus, it's panda form? Panda Lab. Autocorrect, Panda Corey, but I don't know how that does it. Yeah, Lancer says the Karen or the Kyle. Yeah, there's always the people that, and we had that back in the day too, where they would literally wait till the plants get to the house. These aren't the ones I want. Like, oh yeah? Okay. Well, guess what? That's why it's random. You could literally pick out the ones you want. Oh, panda loaches. Okay, now we're talking. Panda loaches are actually kind of hard to feed. I believe the best food is to grow algae on rocks outside. So have like a little trough, take rocks, put them out there, let them grow all green and scummy, and then bring those and put them into your tank, and they love snarfing them. Autosynclus like that too. Shrimp love that. Reticulated hillstream loaches love that. Lots of stuff loves that. But it's work. It's not a exchange money, get food scenario. It's exchange labor, get food scenario. But it's kind of cool because you can get some mosquito larvae going in there. You get your green algae rocks going in there. Make yourself a little farm, play farmer. Do I need iron for my planted tank if I use Easy Green? Probably not, but potentially if you have tons of plants in there and they're really sucking down the nutrients, maybe. But Easy Green has iron in it. If you need more, well, that remains to be seen, but most people wouldn't need more. So I am considering putting together a fertilizer pack. I just haven't yet because on one hand, I know people will buy it. And they'll be like, yeah, I got potassium and iron and Easy Green. But the reality is, and the root tabs. But the reality is most people need, like if I was going to rank what you need to be successful, I would rank it Easy Green, then root tabs, then potassium, then the iron. So that's the order I would buy them in and probably need to use them in. Where when you buy the pack, people just use all of them and they might not need it. And so like extra iron, if you put too much iron, you just make lots of hair algae. And so you really want to make sure you need it if you're going to dose extra. I wish I could find hillstream loaches in Northeast Tennessee. Not much selection unless someone is private, you know someone. I don't know how far it would be, but go to Fishmania. I have a feeling he will bring them in for you. Give him a call. I looked it up because I'm going to be in Kentucky this month, and Fishmania was a 6-hour drive, so I won't be visiting on this trip, but it's an RPP store. He's got fresh and salt water. He seems to be real plugged in. Did a podcast with Randy. I talk to him online every once in a while, and I know he is of the customer service level that if you worked with him, he would get them in if he didn't already have them in, and you could roll up in, pay him, and pick them up. Let's see here. Do you get a combo of foreground, midground, and background plants, or is it completely random regardless of placement? It is completely random. That being said, it would be really hard to do that, right? Like, are we talking mid-ground on a 10-gallon, or this 150-gallon, or my 800-gallon, or a 40 breeder, or a 55, or a 5-gallon nano? There might be some, with the success of these packs, I am considering tailoring it a bit and maybe having multiple packs of like, okay, maybe like a nano pack. I also thought of, what if it was like a few beginner plants and the small bottle of Easy Green and small thing of root tabs? Not sure yet. So playing around with it, but yeah, it's pretty difficult to tailor plants to placement to a size of tank. And then also, like, how much light do you have, and what kind of fish do you have, and what kind of fertilizer you're going to give them. And so it's, there's a leap of faith there, but low to medium light plants, if you can grow them, we can, you'll be happy with the mix. Also, by the way, it does attempt to not double up. So if you buy 2 plant packs, it'll try to give you 12 different plants. If you buy 3 plants and a plant pack, it doesn't have that logic. So it could technically give you a duplicate. I've seen it. It rarely happens. I've seen it happen a couple times. But just know it's like, well, it can happen. I don't know if we can make it not do that. I have to talk to the app developers, and half the time there's like, nah, other people have these problems. We're not doing this for one person. Will it have similar plant if you buy more? Oh, so I just answered that. Nope. If you buy 2 plant packs, you should get 12 different plants. The only way you wouldn't is if we didn't have 12 different plants in stock, which that almost never happens. So 6 plants or 6 different plants? 6 different plants. It's a mystery. I mean, technically with a mystery, it could be both, but it's always different plants. Because I think people want variety. You wouldn't necessarily like, oh, sweet, I got 6 Bacopas. Cool. And it is at random, by the way, where before, when we did this like 10 years ago, we would pick the plants we were overstocked on. Here, this is truly at random. So there's no one out to get you. Corey's not going to look. Randy's not going to look. A picker-packer's not going to look. It literally, the computer just goes, yep, 6 at random. Boop, you get those 6. And then, if you order them right now, then someone tomorrow morning they will have no idea whether it was a plant pack. Like if we sell 100 Cryptocorn Wendell greens, they'll have no idea if that was a plant pack or someone ordered 100 or 50 people ordered 2. It's all the same. We just pack 50 of them. And then when they get to your order, like, oh yeah, we need one of these, 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 and an air pump and Easy Green and this, and put on the conveyor belt. Someone else will go, all right, oh, we got all the items. Give them the free sticker, blah, 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 pack it up, make sure it's in the liner, put a label on it, and there it goes out on a Monday morning for you. Aquatic Marine in Knoxville is good bet too. So there you go. Fish Room Fever is in Tennessee. He's got a little bit of insider knowledge for you. Hopefully it'll save you some of the drive time. What time are we at here? We're doing okay. We got 30 minutes. I will set up a 100-gallon tank with an undergravel filter and CO2. I will plant swords, Val, in the pots. Do I need to wait until the gravel has enough nutrients for stem plants? It will be a guppy tank. I think it depends on what stem plants. I would say Like if you just bought one pot of like Pogo, you could probably drop that in right away with the guppies. Otherwise, if you have some fertilizer, maybe putting some fertilizer in for the first few weeks and then tapering it off as the guppy population booms. Yeah, that's to me that's more of like a breeding tank as opposed to a plant growing tank. Although you are injecting CO2, so I feel like maybe you are gonna need fertilizer. Hmm. Nah. It's hard. Hard to without actually seeing it, knowing skill levels. Do I need any app developers? I hope I never need an app developer in the rest of my life. And what I mean by that is apps just there's so much upkeep and they're so fiddly with all the devices and all that. We don't have any custom apps really rolling right now. We have some apps working on the website and stuff and some custom developers for coding, but at the moment we're happy with our coder that we work with, so not really looking for that. Any products in development? Always. Always. There's even look at that. I'm testing a heater right there. And I got news for you. I don't like it. I've got another one over there. Don't like that one either. I'm trying to find something that's worth selling and that you guys will like. Honestly, this one's not bad, but the stupid cord is like 3 feet. Enraging. It's enraging to me that we're still in a world where the cord is 3 feet long. Yeah. I don't understand. Like, they've got the temperature thing on the outside. That's what that is. And then you've got like 3 feet to get to an outlet. Most homes will never do that. So now you're plugging into an extension cord, which is stupid. Stupid. It's got other problems. Well, I don't want to call them problems because I don't want to throw them under the bus, but other glaring design flaws where I'm like, yeah, that thing, I'm going to snap that in 2 days. It's such a flimsy part. I will say, though, their suction cups are dope. They're looking pretty good. Is the Gen 1 light still available at the retail store? Also, 18-inch Aquarium Masters 3-gallon nano tanks. I could probably look up the first gen lights. We don't have any at the retail store. I don't think we have any more at all. We gave them to lots of stores to help them, like newer stores. If they paid the shipping, they could just have them. As far as the Aquarium Masters go, let me see if we do have them. Also, our 10-gallon rimless Aquariumcoop tanks, they, for whatever reason, people either choose 13s or the size below, so we've got extras of those, and they're like $45, but until we match up the inventory, when we sell enough, you can get them with a $20 gift card. So they basically are 10-gallon rimless tanks for $25. They're kind of the best deal on the planet. So I'm hoping we burn through like 20 of those in a week, while the getting's good. So that way we can match up our inventory when we bring in the next batch. Because most people, like, it's not that much more money to get a 13-gallon, but now that you get the $20 gift card, it's really, really great deal. Let's see. I'm looking up Aquarium Masters. I think we just call it the beta tank. Oh, right here. I think it's the 5. Nope, we're out of them. We're out of both those, so we don't have them. How could you possibly need more than a 3-foot cord? That's what I'm saying. So this thing that the cord runs from, you literally can't plug it in like at the bottom of the stand. It literally won't even reach the bottom of the stand. It's a miracle that it happens to be that I have an outlet like right there behind the tank. By pure coincidence, most people won't have it. And I have it at 4 feet because I built the fish room, right? So you can see another one right there, that brown outlet. I built them at 4 feet. Ain't nobody having 4 feet outlets in their house for the most part. Like, it's just irritating. Really irritating that you're going to buy a $50 heater and you're like, oh, sweet. Let me go get an extension cord. If you put Aquariumcoop fertilizer in an autodoser, can the autodoser have clear containers or does it need to have dark containers? Will the light degrade the ferts? The light won't degrade the fertilizers, but you could grow some fungus and stuff in there. So it's still recommended to not put as much light as you can, and you can buy stuff that isn't clear. The good ones, in my opinion, are the ones that just have one little clear notch, kind of like if you've ever bought car oil, and it's like a non see-through thing, but then you can see the indicator. And you could do that too. You could put tape or paper or something so that it's mostly blocked except for a strip where you can see how much is left in there. I'm going to reset my larger tank. I have sand, and I want to do plant substrate and cap it with sand for cories and plecos and mystery snails. I want to get a monoshrimp. What substrate? My advice is always going to be don't do that. If it was me, okay, instead of me telling you not to do it, I'll just tell you what I did. I have an 800-gallon tank. You know what I did? Normal gravel. You know what I'm switching this tank to? Normal gravel. I got 10 other tanks. You know what they are? Normal gravel. I literally have bags of enriched substrate sitting there that I don't use, that I want to test, and maybe I want to make some tanks and video it just to be like, this is why I hate it. But for me personally, I find gravel. Now, Dean just set up a tank. What'd he use? He used gravel. I love to have options. I love that gravel can do anything. I could make it be real high tech. I can make it be real low tech. I can keep it with fish that dig. I can keep it with shrimp. I can keep it with clown loaches. I can keep it with arowanas. I can keep it with... And substrates have gotten expensive. You might be a couple $100 into substrates, and something like a normal gravel will last you the next 1,000 years. An enriched substrate like that, you're going to spend I spent $300 on it, and it lasts me 18 months, and now I have to swap it out again. So I'm just against it. I do realize some people want it. If you're an aquascaper and the tank's only going to be set up for 4 months anyway, great. Not 4 months, but a year and a half, that's fine. But in general, I would rather amend gravel with root tabs, or if you're going to use some dirt, make mud, freeze it, and then you've got these plugs that you can kind of put dirt plugs under, so it's still not as big of a mess. And you can kind of gravel vac that out if you ever change your mind because you got fish digging. I just not a big fan of that, so I just don't do it. So if you want better advice, go ask someone who's doing that all the time because they will have better advice. In my experience, whenever I layer substrates, one is always heavier and lighter than the other, and it just settles out over time and looks bad every time. So I don't do it. Even with my tanks where I use gravel and crushed coral usually goes down below, and then you gravel vac again, and it mixes it up. So you can at least mix that one up, where when you're trying to cap something, you're doing the opposite. You're trying to never mix it. And that's a hard thing to never do, because you might want to replant. You might have a fish that digs. And they may only dig when they lay eggs, but they're doing that every month. Methylene blue. Years ago, word was it was going to be unavailable to Aquarius. Has that changed? No, at any day it could still go unavailable to Aquarius. Speaking with Fritz, when they bought Mardell, I think it was. Yeah, they bought Mardell. They had the license, because you have to, whenever you make a drug, you have to have a license to do it, and you have to re-up it every year. And I want to say it was $40,000 a year for the license. And all the methylene blue they sold in a year was way less than $40,000. So they were losing money. And so they'd have to do a ton of marketing to break even. And so that's why the only one that makes aquarium version of it right now, I think, is Cordon, and we sell it. But any day, I would not be shocked when they're like, yeah, it costs too much to get the license to sell it. We just don't sell it anymore. The good news is one container lasts you 15, 20 years. So, there is that. So likely someone will make it again within 15 years. But any day it could be oh, dang, yeah, we lost it again. Oof. How good are pothos at removing nitrates? Lots of opinions. Here's my hot take. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. No one's doing good enough studies to actually prove anything. I can't even guarantee that it does. I like the way it looks. I enjoy it. But I don't think anybody can go be yep. Because this big pothos, right? In theory, it's going to eat more than a pothos this big. But how much root structure to how much light to how much nutrients to how fast it can uptake per what size aquarium, per how much waste was even entering the aquarium, per most people have more plants than just the pothos. and they have different nutrients in their water. And are you fertilizing it or aren't you when you're trying to take it out to begin with? So the only ones that I can really remember, when you look up, there has been scientific studies done on it, and I want to say the number one plant to take nutrients out of water was like the Douglas fir tree, and then it was corn, and then it was my brain doesn't work. Floating plant, ponds, not water lettuce. I keep wanting to say hydrangea, but I know it's not. Water hyacinth. Whew. Water hyacinth was like the third one. And then like the sixth one was like hornwort. So that's like two applicable aquarium-ish ones. But I don't think anybody ever tested like what is, per, and you got to look at like probably parts per million absorbed based on grams of plant weight, something like that, to really see how efficient is it and all that kind of crazy stuff, which I just don't think people are doing it, which you don't need to, because it's fish room science. And if you got a crusty old guy or a friend down the road that's like, hey, it's working well for me, that's good enough. You go, hey, I like what you're doing. I'm going to do that. And whether it's really, most of this hobby is, it doesn't even matter if it takes nitrates out. Did it make you feel good? That's really all that matters. Like, you could probably boil this whole hobby down to, did it make you feel better? You pick up food, you feed it. If it makes them sick and kills them, it wouldn't make you feel better. If it made them breed, it would make you feel better. If your water was cleaner, it would make you feel better. If it, smelled good, it would make you feel better. If it cost you $50 and you're really trying to breed these zebra plecos and you think it's going to work, it'll make you feel better. Money well spent. The hobby boils down to, did it make you feel better? Then it works. My whole neighborhood just heard me yell, Hyacinth! That's right. When will Easy Carbon be available again? No idea. Could literally be tomorrow, or a year, or a month, or 22 days, or 6 hours. Any of those. Any of those are equally plausible at this point. Could be an email waiting for me right now after this live stream, for all I know. Like, it's back on! Or not. Probably not, but I've considered trying a mangrove. Yeah, I've grown mangroves. They're fun. Both in saltwater and freshwater. I used to make a killing ordering mangroves in bulk off of eBay and selling them for $5 each at events. Because everybody's kind of willing, like, wait a second, you got mangroves that are growing freshwater and they're $5? Let me get some of that. Because no one's done it and everyone's just like, okay, yeah, let's do that. You can do the same thing, because you can basically have them in a bucket. You do the same thing with taller lucky bamboos. You go, yeah, give me one of those. Boom. Yeah, great way to make some decent cash when you're going to events where you just set up a little table. And they're just easy to get. Let's see here. I wondered if the gravel would pull the liquid fertilizer to the roots. Any thoughts? I know an aquarist that has worked on that. I do believe that there's some of that going on, but I'm not convinced that every plant root is willing to take liquid fertilizer in through the roots. But through the testing I've seen this one aquarist do, we did see benefits by running under gravel versus the control. However, you could also wager that oxygenation of plant roots made the difference. That stagnation and that kind of stuff has a big effect too. So the bigger thing would be, underground filter better? Yes, but I don't think he ran another blind study to be like, this one is undergravel with plants but without the liquid fertilizer versus undergravel filter with the same plants in the same setup with liquid fertilizer. So most Aquarius stuff won't be it won't be scientific enough. It'll purely be, hey, I did this thing and it did this, and then I did this test and it did that, and so then that worked for me, and so I just just did that forever. Most times people don't go and like, okay, and then I set up another test knowing that it should probably fail because that's a waste of time and resource and money. And there's not really a lot to gain from it. So not a lot of people do it. First, for recharging EcoComplete himself, yep, you can soak high cation factored substrates in fertilizer and that will help, yep. I just don't know that in relation to an underground filter, if it'll dilute back out, what rate, compared to being a stagnant substrate. What do I plan on stocking the new big tank at the store expansion now that you don't have any puffers? Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I think I go back and forth, like, man, it's a real big tank. We should probably have a big fish in there, but like, we don't really sell big fish that often. Kind of want something new. I think I'm going to do a nice school of rosy barb, longfin rosy barbs in there because they eat algae and that's cool. And then just kind of keep filling it with some other cool, fun stuff where I just show this giant community tank that's fun. That like, wow, I've never, because I've fallen in love with people that have like 4-inch rosy barbs that are like 7 years old. They're a longfin. They're spectacular. And most people never get to see that. And so I like putting that kind of stuff on display. I'm like, whoa, I would keep that fish now that I can look that good. Kind of like longfin white clouds. If you ever see them after they're like a few years old, you're like, that fish, I want that fish. You see them in the store and you're like, I ain't paying $7 for that. Heck no. Got a peace lily doing well in an aquarium planter. Yeah, nice. Spider plants too. Congo tetras would be amazing. Yeah, I don't want to do the same setup. I've got a bunch of Congo tetras in the 800 gallon right now. I need males. I took all the ones to the store, and the store was down to like 1.5 males and like 30 some females. So now I got to find a big group of males to spice it up. Because right now that's a lot of bland silver over there, and like, ooh, looks like you might have one male. Like, yeah, it's kind of doing something. Where can I buy fancy guppies? Well, you could buy them at Dan's Fish. You could buy them at Aquahuna. You could buy them at Michael Skurnick's Fish Room. You could buy them at, I'm trying to remember what he goes by. John's Guppies, but what is his business name? He's making that website, but what is John Oliver on Facebook sells good guppies? A lot of places do. Pike cichlids would be pretty cool. We don't sell pike cichlids. Then the number one thing stores should stop doing is putting fish on display they don't sell. Like Elmer, that turtle. But in general, you make way more money when you show like, wow, that looks great. It's the same thing of like, if you're a Toyota car dealership, don't have vintage Mustangs on display. Like that makes me want to go buy one of those, not these, right? So we, in general, all we do at Aquariumcoop is planted community tanks. Yes, we dabble in other stuff, but the general ethos, products, they help people with plants and community fish. That's what we do. Yes, do we know about axolotls? Yes, do we keep some frogs? Do we keep some turtles? Have we done arowanas? Do I have African cichlids over there? Yes. Do I do planted African cichlid tanks? Yes, I do. Like my crypnuries are with the African cichlids. What? That can't be done. I'm pretty sure I just heard six different cichlid groups just bought 22 more FX6s because they're so angry that I'm keeping plants with African cichlids. Do I know of any substrate similar to the lapis luster? I can't get it on the East Coast. No, I'd love something similar. I don't think I do. Yeah. What I would do is I would just go to different gravel and sand yards, and normally they'll have displays where you can just dig through them all and look. But yeah, I don't have a go-to for you. Yeah, you're looking for John Oliver's guppies and aquatics, Corey. Yeah, so that's what he's going by right now, but his website is John's Guppies. Or no, it's Guppy John. Once he finally launched it, he's learning how to design the website and getting all the pictures and all that stuff. I've been working with him on that for the last few months. He's been busy. He's at Aquashella right now, actually, but Yeah. So that's part of that. Part of my brain being super slow is I'll have extra information where I'm like, can I say that out loud? Must process. And then I go, oh yeah, it's actually this. So I've got way too much stuff I'm testing and I know about and I'm helping other people do stuff. And I'm like, do I have a don't talk about that thing going on with this right now? Or can I? I don't know. Um, I was wondering if you had an idea about this, but I really want to expand the amount of aquariums I have and I've offered to pay for it, but they won't budge. Do you have any experience with this? I feel like I've read this wrong. Hold on. I was wondering if you had any idea about this, but I really want to expand the amount of aquariums I have and have offered to pay for it, but they won't budge. Do you have any experiences? I feel like there's an idea in your head that's missing a critical 5 words. They being the people that manage your tanks? Are we talking about a local store? I'm follow up when your little 60-second timer's done, and I'll try to chime in with like, oh, okay, yeah, I could answer that. We got 9 minutes left, so you got a little bit of time here. I keep monster fish, and I do love the 6 FX6s, fish keepers. They always are so shocked when my systems are healthy with emergent plants in my sump. I used to be that guy because I got into the hobby and I was instantly fell in love with breeding fish and monster fish. And when everyone you see their setups and they're just like, yeah, more. And one of the easiest ways is to copy what they're doing. You copy it. But then eventually you might be like, oh, turns out this filter's been unplugged for like 8 months. Guess I didn't need it. Huh. You find these things where you're like, oh, okay. And then eventually you wise up and you're like, wait a second. Am I just spending way too much money on filtration I don't need to be? And the answer is probably yes. In my experience, yes. Very rarely do I meet someone like, you actually don't own enough filters. I would say it's 1 in 500 people. Whereas like 250 out of those 500 people, like, you have way too much. You have 2 sponge filters, 2 hang-on backs, and a canister filter. And they'll also be the ones going, do you think I could fit this in there? And I'm like, why? Are you keeping fish or are you keeping filters? Ooh, that's my new cichlid burn. Are you keeping cichlids or are you keeping filters, bro? Because it's so true. We've got a guy in our Facebook group too that he purposely posts. He's got this rad looking sump. It's got all these colors and it's like showing off a show car. It is impressive, but the way he takes the picture, I swear he is more excited about his sump than what's in the tank, and it just makes me crack up because I'm just like, we are not the same. Isn't there a meme? What is that? I gotta see it. Like, we are not the same meme. Yeah. When is it Gus Friedman or whatever his name is from Breaking Bad, where it's we are not the same. That is me when I see those setups. I'm like, we are not the same. We're in the same group and we think we're in the same hobby, but we are not the same. Yeah. I was gonna do trolling a long time ago. I wanted to set up a 5-gallon with like a 50-gallon sump, just because people get so ridiculous about it. Where it's like, I've got a 500-gallon tank I haven't built. I think I'm gonna go with the 300-gallon sump, and you're just like, why? It's like you're trying to spend more money on this, and a lot of people do because they literally they want to get it right. They don't want to underbuy. That would be horrible, right? So they go way over the top. So the person that was asking about how to expand their aquariums and everything, the critical part was their parents. Their parents won't budge. That can definitely be a hard one because you don't get a lot of say. But usually what I would do is wait for the right moments. So not when they're stressed out, not right before bed, maybe while it's in your holiday or your birthday, or just like you just got done mowing the lawn, or whatever. Like somehow they're happy with you, and start asking the probing questions of like, is it no more aquariums? Or is it no more gallons? Or is it like no more fish in my room? Or is it, like, so you start formulating a plan as we do when we're kids of like, what if I set them up in the garage? What if I use the shed? What if I clean my room? What if I swap this 10 gallon for a 30 gallon? What if I, and that's, as you do that and you don't harass them nonstop, a lot of times after time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, the parents are like, wow, they're really into this. They really want it. They will over time go, okay, maybe if you get a good report card or whatever the carrot is going to be, we'll talk about another tank, or we'll talk about upgrading, or we'll talk about maybe you got to get a job, or maybe you got to, like, usually it's not always just 100% no. It's we haven't asked the right question, or we don't understand what the objections are, so we don't know how to solve it yet. Can you make money off your fish tanks? That might be more willing if the tanks are paying for themselves. Yeah, asking if the question, like maybe, yeah, could be like, oh, you say you got a big food bill and we were buying a lot. That could be it. You can make money from aquariums. It can be done. It's hard to do, but yeah, and it could be like, yeah, maybe if you were able to get a side job or sell some of the fish or reduce the bills, and sometimes it's literally misinformation, like, oh, you know how much money all those aquariums are costing? And it's like, if you're like, well, can I see the bill? Like, okay, it's this much money per kilowatt. I did all the math, and yes, yeah, my aquariums cost us $11 a month. And they go, oh, well, okay, but not too much. Don't go crazy. Yeah, but you could be in a very expensive, country, or some power is very expensive, and you might be able to go, well, what if, can I have more aquariums if I don't use more power? Let's track that. Because you could do that. You could be like one air pump, bunch of sponge filters. You just got to know what is the opposition you're up against, and then you can think about how you might be able to smooth that over. Let's see here. I just convinced my stepmom to let me swap my 29 for two 12 gallons, and I don't regret it at all. Well, there you go. Yeah. Mostly it's finding out what's the objection. That's the first part. Have I ever found the orange to die for Variatus platies? No. I looked for them 2 days ago. Maybe yesterday? Maybe? Yeah, I'm checking during the summer. No cool, rare fish that I am finding on Aquabid or anywhere right now. So I'm just looking, going, I don't know. I'm feeling like I need some kind of fish. I don't know. I haven't found it yet. Just talk about another hobby that they don't want to support. I don't know. I've seen that backfire where it's like, oh, see, you're not even interested in the fish that much. Like, oof. Like, no, I'm all in. I'm all in on fish. A problem well stated is a problem half solved. That seems like something someone way smarter than me has said. Yeah. In the expansion, are you doing saltwater tanks for the first time? Nope. I'd like to stay in business, please. No saltwater. Never. That'd be the first time at the store. Like that wouldn't even technically be the first time at the store. I used to keep saltwater tanks in the storage area because we'd bring in live brine shrimp, and they did way better at saltwater levels with skimmers and everything than they did without. So I actually had a cool setup. I kind of want that setup back, but we had a 75-gallon up top and a 75-gallon down below, and we'd pump the water up top, and that's where all the brine shrimp were that we'd catch and bag up and sell. And then down below, I had the protein skimmer, and we had a filter sock and everything, and we would pump the water up very slow so that we wouldn't wash a bunch of brine shrimp over the overflow. We had a net there to kind of prevent that as well. And it actually processed the ammonia really, really well, and we stripped out a bunch of stuff using the protein skimmer and everything. But saltwater just creeps on everything, especially when you're in it 10 times a day, bagging up brine shrimp for $6. It's a real grind. And but man, the fish loved it. And the problem was every third shipment would just come in like dead because the place we were getting them from, they'd let them sit on the floor for a few days before shipping them. And then almost all the real brine shrimp producers of adult brine are on the East Coast. So if I was on the East Coast, way easier thing to do. Or like blackworms are easier for us to do on the West Coast than the East Coast. I'm hunting for you every time I hit the stores. Good. I hope you find those orange. They're almost like a metallic orange platy. You find them, whatever they cost, I'm paying. Let's see. It's a 501 already. 501. Don't do marine. That's right. I love how there's 555 people scheming against some parents out there. Hey, not scheming, asking questions. That's how we learn. Trust me, I was definitely the kid of like, well, I know you said I couldn't do this, but you didn't say I couldn't do that. And I wouldn't just go do it, but I would ask. I'd be like, well, technically it's not ice cream for dinner if I eat it after dinner, or just something stupid where it's like, technically, I grew up and I was the neckbeard kid. It's actually, I was that kid. I'm pretty much still that kid. At 42 years old, I'm still that. Actually, my wife probably hates it because 15 times a day, my methodology to everything in life is like, well, we don't actually know that. It could be something as simple as like, I'm trying to like something super mundane. Like, I think so. Like my wife would say, like, yeah, Costco changed the chicken packaging. And she'd say like, I bet they're saving a ton of money. I'd be like, well, we don't know. And my brain instantly starts thinking like, maybe they had too many of the containers opening up, or maybe the drop rate was bad. They're replacing too many chickens. But then I also know that like, yeah, those bags would be a lot cheaper. But I do know the first run had a lot of leaks. So they probably had to go to a new one. That wouldn't have been bad. That'd been bad for publicity. Like my brain will not stop running on stuff. And so I instantly hit everything with, yeah, but we don't know that. We don't know what we don't know. Which is also the same thing I say to my employees, like the managers I'm training, like we have to operate on data we know. So if you don't know when the last time that tank was gravel vacked, then you don't know. Because way too often in business, it's like, yeah, we just did it. When is just did it? Like we're supposed to do it once a month. Oh, it's been 4 months. You've skipped that one 4 times. Just explaining like, I was explaining in our quarantine room, for instance, right? Like, yeah, we're supposed to clean all the tanks, clean all the shipments. If you start on the same side every time with the same employee, I guarantee you it won't be good enough. Because they'll always start, if they always start at top left, and let's say it takes them 4 hours, every time they get interrupted because we get busy, they never got to the bottom right one. Where so I put in a simple system. I go, hey, if we're cleaning quarantine tanks, is it odd or even today? Oh, today is the 4th. Yep, you start on the left. If you start cleaning tanks and it's an odd day, start on the right. You've magically solved the problem right there. Like, boom. We've already doubled the amount of times that the bottom right tank will get cleaned just by putting in a very small little tweak. Yes, you could say, like, we should document it and do all this. Like, yeah, we should do all that too. But we weren't. And therefore, we have to operate on knowledge of what do we actually know, not what do we think we know. What do we actually know? What do we have analytics or proof or documentation for? Then make a decision based on that. Not so much, well, I think the person's been doing the thing. So, all right. I'm going to cut it short, so I've got something left to talk about next week, next Sunday at 6 p.m. Be there, be there, be there. Do me a favor. Have we sold everything on the website? Let me check. Hold on, waiting. Nope, there's still lots of stuff for sale. I thought you guys would have bought it all. All right, well, if you can do me a favor and just unload your bank account straight onto the website, that'd be great. We'll make sure everything gets shipped out tomorrow. It'll be quick. It'll be painless. I won't make it too difficult to give me all of your money. And then we'll put it into buying more stuff, and I'll be here next Sunday trying to sell it to you again. And as long as you watch the videos and you learn how to keep it alive, you won't need to buy it again. So really, This is on you. If you learn enough, you won't have to buy everything I sell every week. But if you don't learn, you're going to have to replace those plants. You're going to have to buy more medicines. You're going to have to do these things. You have to set up more tanks. So really, this is about you. This is about you. You need to learn, up your game, have some fun, and then you won't have to buy all of my stuff. But yes, we still have stuff in stock. So clearly I have failed this week, and I have to come back next week. So it's kind of counterintuitive. If you actually buy all the stuff, I wouldn't have to come back next week, and maybe you want me to come back. But if you really hate me, and you hate these live streams, and somehow you've watched 2 hours and 5 minutes of it, the way to stop me is buy everything on the website. If someone buys everything, I will definitely take a week off. All right, time to find some dinner. I skipped lunch because I'm a madman. I was eating too much Kirkland Sweet Heat Mix. If you haven't had that yet, it's actually pretty good. You can. I wasn't eating too much. You can't really eat too much because it's kind of overwhelming. But a handful of that every time I was hungry, over like 2 hours later, like, hey, I'm kind of hungry. And then I was like, well, I live stream in 30 minutes. I don't have time to eat. I'll eat afterwards. So there you go. I lost my house and my family. It's fine. I bought all the Aquariumcoop stock. Anything to stop me, right? You know, sometimes greater good to get me from putting people to sleep like I do. You just got to buy it all. One fell swoop. Yep, that's how you do it. I'll tell you what. You buy the entire website. I'll throw in a wild-caught Cory coin. There you go. So we'll see you around. Make sure you compliment somebody. Enjoy your hobby. Tear down or set up a tank, depending. Are you on the come up? I'm still enjoying the hobby. I'm on a downslope. Go ahead and dial one back and see how you like it then. And we'll see you next week. What are we talking about next week? We need more questions and ideas around the topic of. You'd think I'd know, but I planned them too far in advance. I'm going to answer questions because I've been running and in a retail store for over 15 years. So if you have questions about what it's like to work there, or how fast we learn, or crazy stories, or I don't know, lots of stuff. But it is quite different. You would think that just keeping fish room in a fish room is not the same. Great example yesterday. We had to call animal control because there was a hurt duck walking around the parking lot. Like that doesn't happen in the fish room. You know, you just got different stuff you deal with. There's people that had to call the cops, have to prosecute people, have to do that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff that goes down in a retail store. But yeah, it could just be talking about fish prices, could be plants, could be whatever you want. But welcome to Costco. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Not tomorrow. That's a lot. Well, in a video, I'll see you tomorrow. But actually, I'll see you next week. See you next week. There we go. Bye-bye.